What's up, everyone? I'm Jacob here with some more Series 13 Wi-Fi battles. Very excited to bring you this team. I know it's been a while since I've recorded one of these videos with a new team like this, but excited to be back in the saddle and using a team that I think is actually pretty good. I think Zarude, especially, that being the focal point of this team, is legitimately really good in Series 13. I'm very excited to show it off today. Of course, I'll do a quick overview of the team. If you just want to skip straight to the battles, there are going to be timestamps in the description below, as well as the Pokepaste and rental code down in the description as well, and you see the rental code in front of you right now. While you're down there too, leave a like, subscribe, helps me out a ton, and answer the question of the day. Let me know just, what fun teams you're trying out, what fun Pokemon you're using in Series 13. I know, in general, I think a lot of people have shifted away from using the Mythicals, because, if you can have as many restricted as you like, that kind of defeats the purpose of using a Mythical Pokemon with just, base 100 stats across the board. That's pretty mediocre, compared to a lot of things that the restricteds can do, as, you might hear some bells rattling, the cats are running around below me. But, talking about the team, it's built around Zarude. Again, AV Zarude. It has a legitimate, really good niche. It completely walls your Kyogres, your Calyrex-Shadow riders. It does really well into things like Groudon, Palkia because of the AV, and it just has really good natural bulk. Even Yveltal, which is one of the Pokemon that probably gives the team a decent bit of trouble without the Zacian added to it. Even Yveltal, can't really stand up to a max Airstream coming off of Acrobatics, plus, a coaching boosted, max knuckle, things like that. You can always find your way around. Of course, the Zeraora, a fantastic partner. Electroweb, being a very fast Pokemon itself, allows Zarude to outspeed a lot of things, allows the Life Orb Kyogre to outspeed a ton, and then the coaching boosts are super helpful into Zarude, into Zacian, allows Kyogre to live, max Quakes and Zacian play roughs or Behemoth Blades, anything like that. So, just great utility coming out of that Pokemon. I think Zeraora, I've seen, Moxie boosted, and a lot of people talking about how Zeraora is probably the new Incineroar in Series 13, and yeah, outside of Intimidate, but, covers up for some of the electric weaknesses that you see in Pokemon like Yveltal and Kyogre 2. Rounding out the team, Melmetal is just there as an anti-Trick Room Pokemon, because the team really doesn't like going up against a Palkia, Calyrex, Ice Rider, and Magearna. So Melmetal underspeeds all of those, has a 98% chance to one-shot a Calyrex Ice Rider under Trick Room, because, we'll move first, and then just does really well. The White Herb, because we already have the Assault Vest committed on the Zarude, White Herb just allows us to ignore the Incineroar Intimidates that are so common on those kinds of teams, and Thunder Punch and High Horsepower, decent coverage, hits a Kyogre, all that good stuff. But the last big piece of this team is, of course, the Whimsicott, the honest Whimsicott. We're running eject button, but no switcheroo. We're using our eject button every single time. Super bulky, max HP, a lot of defense, a lot of special defense investment, and a bold nature allows us to live pretty much any Zacian's Behemoth Blade at -1. So after we get a charm off on them, we'll be able to live, eject button out, bring in another Pokemon, and then we can bring in Whimsicott later on for a Tailwind. It's very, very fun seeing your Whimsicott just jump in and out, because that's something that it's not usually known for. But that also means our Whimsicott is terribly slow. So we're going to lose every single Whimsicott, Speed Tie, we're going to be slower than everything like a Zeraora, Thunderous, things that could taunt us in return, so just have to be conscious of that too. Of course, we also have Taunt on this to stop potential Trick Rooms from some balanced teams or teams with multiple forms of speed control, and then Moonblast, Tailwind. I think you just have to have both of those moves on a Whimsicott. Moonblast, fairy type, decent damage. Tailwind just makes everything go crazy. I didn't really talk too much about the Life Orb Kyogre, but it's Life Orb Kyogre. It just hits like a truck. Secondary Dynamax option, pretty much tells you how things go. So very excited to use this team today. I am recording this before the battles, so looking forward to getting things done. Looking forward to doing a little bit of work with the Zarude and the rest of the gang. So let me know down in the comment section below what you think of this team. Let me know if you have any success with it, if you want to try out the rental code, and let's get right into the games. Alright, first one of the day, and it's going to be Yveltal Zekrom with classic support, Whimsicott, Kyogre. and Indeedee alongside the Zacian. So very offensive, for sure. I would imagine they want to set up Tailwind. Kyogre could be Scarfed. The Indeedee is a little spooky, but the thing is Zarude kind of goes crazy here. Just have to deal with the Zacian. But I have Charm on Whimsicott for that. Kyogre does a huge amount of damage. I really like... Zeraora is going to outspeed a ton on their team. I think first game of the day, I think I do just want to lead Zeraora Zarude. Go Kyogre and Whimsicott. I don't love that. The Kyogre kind of gets bodied by the Yveltal and the Zekrom. It does get around the Indeedee, which is nice, but... we'll go Zeraora Zarude, Zacian, Whimsicott. Yeah. Whimsicott's going to be in there for a late game Tailwind. Could even potentially like switch in Whimsicott as a sack to a max move, or switch it in to a move that it would resist. Like, you know, if Zekrom's going to be going for a max Dragon, got Whimsicott as a switch in. If it's going to go for max Lightning, Whimsicott switches in, eject button's out, and I can bring in like Zacian or something that can threaten that. But the Yveltal and Indeedee, okay. Yveltal and Indeedee I don't dislike. Of course, Dada Zarude too. The event Pokemon, I absolutely love that one. And I would imagine they max the Yveltal right away. They don't want to get faked out. So a... like, Follow Me Airstream into Zarude is super likely from them, I would think. I do have Zacian. And Zeraora has its Focus Sash. The thing is, Zarude doesn't even... if they're not Life Orb, Zarude doesn't even take that much. I like an Electroweb here, just to keep the speed orders in check. I kind of just want to max right away, but I'm gonna preserve him. I'm gonna go out to Zacian. Zacian, I didn't talk about it too much in the introduction, but does have Substitute there over something like Sacred Sword or Quick Attack. I really like Play Rough because it allows me to hit things like Yveltal, Palkia, things like that. And Zekrom, is another one of those. But it allows me to hit all those things. And they're not going to follow me. They're just going to go for Tailwind, which is interesting. But the Substitute really helps into like Trick Room matchups. Or situations like this, where after an Electroweb, depending on how fast our Yveltal is, our Zacian might still outspeed. And we could potentially get a sub up before they attack with Yveltal. But we do know that by going for Tailwind, they are going to be likely more supportive. We do not see a weakness policy, which is great. So Tailwind on Yveltal, I would imagine, is probably like Zacian Zekrom in the back. My team looks super threatening to a Kyogre, so I would think they probably don't bring that. I can just go for another Electroweb. I still have my Sash. And let's click a sub. Important here too, speed tier-wise, is that Zeraora is faster than my Zacian. Zeraora outspeeds every Adamant Zacian, as they're just going to go straight into Kyogre. Interesting. Yeah, so Zeraora, not max speed, but very, very fast, is again going to outspeed every Adamant Zacian. So every bulky variant. But yeah, interesting that they would, one, bring Kyogre, and two, switch it right into a pretty obvious Electroweb. And we do get the sub with Zacian. So that's great. And still, we have our Focus Sash on Zeraora. I do want to keep that Sash on Zeraora, and that's going to be one of my better ways to do it, the Yveltal outside of the Zacian. So Electroweb is objectively probably the best play here. But I do want to get pretty saucy and switch out to Whimsicott so that I can get my eject button and then a free switch into the Zarude. That sounds really good to me. And we can just show off the eject button Whimsicott. We're going to Beyblade into the Indeedee, because that thing is annoying, and I'm not really worried about the Kyogre, because I will still have Zeraora with the Focus Sash, and of course Zarude eventually going to come in and deal with the Kyogre. Also, we're going to get Follow Meet anyway. So, Behemoth Blade's going to go off here. We are faster with them at -1, even under Tailwind. So that's great information to know. Behemoth Blade, I would think, picks up this KO. It's just short. Just short of the KO, which is a little bit of a bummer. But the Origin Pulse is going to come out. Again, very bulky Whimsicott. And, you know, Whimsicott's natural bulk is not the greatest in the world. But we are going to take that. We're going to eject button out. And go right into our big, bad Zarude in the back. Feels good. We are, of course, also bulkization. So that is helpful, too. They have, what, one more turn of Tailwind? Yeah. One more turn of Tailwind. So this is... I mean, this is probably the easiest max Overgrowth and Protect. Because I don't want to take too much more damage with Zacian. I don't want to, like, eat an Origin Pulse onto that slot if the Kyogre does stay in. I would imagine they have, you know, multiple resists. I'm going to go for Darkness, actually, and Protect. There's a chance we do get Follow Meet into the Indeedee, and that's going to eat up the Darkness, and that's fine. Any hit's going to take it out from that range. There's also the chance that they could have switched out into Yveltal, and Max Darkness with the Dark Aura boost is going to do more into an Yveltal than... Max Darkness is going to do more into Yveltal than a Max Overgrowth. But protecting Zacian here, we're going to survive this turn, knock out the Indeedee likely, and then set up a KO on the Kyogre next turn. Even without the speed drop, our Zarude is max speed Adamant, so we are just 1 point faster than all the base 90s. So we're going to be faster than every Kyogre without Tailwind or without a Choice Scarf. We're going to be faster than, you know, Groudons. We are going to speed tie with a Landorus if we run into any. But yeah, I mean, you see just how much damage that Origin Pulse does to us when we're maxed. 0. And perfect, they run out of Tailwind. They kind of have to go into Yveltal here. They could go into their own Zacian, which would be, I think, a little annoying. We are pretty... We've got a little bit of bulk, mostly on the special side for Zarude. So if they go into their own Zacian, we do have to kind of play around that. There's a chance that Zacian would be able to KO us with a Behemoth Blade. But if they just go into Yveltal, that's a Behemoth Blade and a Max Overgrowth into that slot every day of the week. It depends, too, on how fast the Yveltal is. I would think it probably outspeeds Zarude because we're Adamant, but chance it doesn't. I am going to Max Overgrowth. I think, yeah, I still Max Overgrowth the Kyogre and Behemoth Blade the Yveltal. They no longer have Tailwind. Behemoth Blade, again, depending on how bulky their Yveltal is, could... So, the Yveltal's Scarfed. Scarf Tailwind is very interesting. Scarf Tailwind. Wow. I guess them moving before my Zeraora turn 1, I should have caught that. Zacian's not going to take that, which is a little suspicious, but fine by me. Could be Specs Kyogre. I think it kind of has to be if it's going to do 75% with an Origin Pulse, even in the rain. So they do have Tailwind up, but they're down to their last Pokemon, and I've still got 3. And I can set up Tailwind with my Whimsicott and go from there. So I feel pretty good about it. They still have not used Dynamax. I've got one more turn with Zarude. We get a little bit of HP back. So we go out to Whimsicott first. We cannot protect with Zarude, and it's Zacian as the last. So this is where the Charm is going to come in huge. Oh, wow. Easy. Easy dub. Because they just didn't get to use Dynamax. I would imagine the way they played that Kyogre, it does feel like Specs, based on both the damage that they did to Zacian and them not switching out. Both feel like Scarf. I'm going to max Knuckle here, a little bit of damage, and click that big charm. And them not Dynamaxing the Kyogre really makes me feel like it was Scarf, or Specs. That's fine, because again, they just didn't get to use Dynamax this game. They are going to Behemoth Blade at -1 into the Zarude. Unless they get a crit, it's not going to KO. Absolutely, another charm is going to let us live another one of those, which is huge. Max Knuckle, just for a little bit of boost. You know, it's not nothing. But we are going to get a +1 close combat off next turn, which should... I don't know if it should. It might KO. If it's very bulkization, it's probably not going to. But based on the damage that Knuckle did, it's probably not too much bulk. I think their team feels very hyper-offensive. I would imagine max speed, a lot of attack, you know, maybe a little bit of defensive investment, but, you know, that's a base 90 attack power max Knuckle. So, I really wouldn't expect it to do that much to Zacian. Either way, we're going to Charm. They are going to play it out, which is good for us, because we do get to see at least the Zarude come through. Potentially live another one of these Behemoth Blades. Play Rough comes out. We do not live that. Even at -3, yeah, so probably just max for Zacian. Would make the most sense to me. But we are able to go out into Zeraora. Fake Out Charm is super free here. Actually, how many more turns of Tailwind do they have? I don't think I need a Charm in this spot. I think I can Fake Out and Tailwind. I'd imagine they probably Protect here. But I set up my own Tailwind so that both my Pokemon are going to outspeed them next turn. Because I think that said one more turn of Tailwind. For them, Fake Out probably does less than the Grassy Terrain recovers for them. But that's fine. The Zacian is... You know, we do see faster under Tailwind, but their Tailwind should peter out this turn. Rad. So both my Pokemon are faster now. I can Plasma Fists and Moonblast. And Plasma Fist should be at least a 3-hit KO, and we're going to live a couple of hits from the Zacian. As they Protect, trying to stall the Tailwind. Fair. Makes sense. Yeah, it's going to depend on how bulky their Zacian is. I probably got a little bit, you know, overzealous with the Zarudes, keeping it in there against the Zacian that likely has Play Rough. They're also going to recover just a lot of HP from that Grassy Terrain. But big Plasma Fists. And we're going to go for one more Charm. Because I think they're going to target on the Zeraora this turn. So I think we should be able to get a Charm and then a Moonblast next turn, is my thought process here. And Charm is just going to seal this one, provided no crits. We also do, you know, we not only got to saw the Dynamax Zarude, but we do get to see the fantastic Plasma Fist animation. Play Rough is going to come out into Zeraora. Nothing. So now it's big Plasma Fists and Moonblast. I think this is going to be our last turn of Tailwind, or we have one more after this one. They're going to Protect here. So I think we should have one more turn of Tailwind. It's pretty boring in game, I'm going to be honest. I kind of, you know, we wasted all the hype early on with Zarude and Crazy taking up a couple of KOs. But yeah, this is going to be our last turn. Oh no, that was our last turn of Tailwind. That's fine. Just click it again. The Whimsicott damage with Moonblast is nothing, and we are going to get, with Zeraora, 2 more hits from Plasma Fist is going to pick up this KO. So, yeah, not much to say about the endgame here. Even at this range, like, a couple of Moonblasts will definitely do it. Behemoth Blade probably comes out into Whimsicott if they're going from Play Rough to B-Blade. But yeah, I mean, you see Whimsicott, they are at -5, but we're super bulky. So, you know, take that into consideration too whenever you're thinking about this game. And Moonblast. You know, could have gone for Electrowebs, ensured that my Pokemon outsped, but there's no real reason, and just clicking Protect here does not make a difference. You know, at this point, even if they get 3 protects in a row, install up my Tailwind, I can just set it up again and Plasma Fists. So, yeah. Just not the most exciting endgame in the world. Finally, they are going to cancel the battle, but big dub for Zarude in its first game. So you love to see that. We'll see if we can see their team. I would like confirmation on the Kyogre's item, if we're able to. If not, you know, no big deal. I'm gonna assume specs. Okay, so no, don't get to see the team, but I'll see you for the next battle. Second one of the day, and it's hyper offense, but offense that Zarude beats. Really, the only Pokemon on their team that is a huge threat to Zarude would be like the Zacian. The Incineroar could cause us some trouble, but that's why we have Kyogre. I don't love our own Zacian in this game. I think it's no Zeraora. Whenever it's not a Trick Room team, it's 4 of the top 5. Melmetal is not really a consideration here, just so slow, and we don't have the AV. So no real reason to bring it. Whimsicott, of course, we do have potential Tailwind, but if they lead, the Incineroar gets a little bit dicey. I do like Zeraora for that reason. The Groudon's a little spooky, but you know, we can deal with that, I think. So I think Zeraora or Kyogre, just top 4, feels pretty good to me. The Whimsicott, yes, we are eject button, so you know, we could do some cool stuff there, but we do not have Protect, so if they lead Incineroar, it puts us in a little bit of a weird spot. So we'll go with these 4. I think it's pretty strong. I think the only real issues are like if they lead Groudon, and you know, Groudon would of course likely underspeed our Kyogre, set up the Sun, could be a little bit iffy. But even to like an Assault Vest Groudon, even in the Sun, like Kyogre does 50%. It is insane, as they do go Groudon Yveltal. Good lead on their part. Groudon Yveltal is a little spooky, but I think we can still get some good damage off and set up for a Zarude endgame. Do I want to do that? I think Kyogre Dynamaxing might actually be the move. I think a Kyogre Dynamax might actually be the move. Zarude with the AV is still going to check the things it needs to check, which is to say Calyrex and Kyogre. Again, though, I don't expect any of my opponents to bring Kyogre. It's likely Calyrex-Zacian in the back. Just bring the 4 strongest restricteds. Makes sense. And if that's the case, I would love the Kyogre as a switch-in later on into the Zacian. I'm going to Plasma Fist Yveltal right away, and I'm just going to Protect. Running out of time on that one. There's definitely a better play I could have made, as they are going to max probably the Yveltal. Luxury Ball would make me think the Yveltal matches the color scheme. And if it's Dynamax or it's Groudon, okay. Max Groudon is fine, I think. It's probably a double up into Zeraora. No? Okay, so they're gonna just Max Groudon here. I get my Protect off with Kyogre. I would imagine Max Quake goes out into Zera. That should be fine. Zera is really my main means of speed control. I do have Max Airstreams with Zarude. The question is just who do I want to Dynamax in this game? As always. So, I gotta figure that one out. Because if I Dynamax Kyogre, I do want to keep the Zeraora around for some speed control. But if I Dynamax Zarude, I can Max Airstream my way up. I do just want to get damage off onto the Yveltal. They don't have any other electric resists or immunities on their team, so Plasma Fist into that slot is really safe. I could go for an Electroweb here. Like, Electroweb Water Spout would also just get some good damage on the board, but I potentially risk losing both this turn, and I don't love that. I might be in a position where I have to Dynamax Kyogre. But we're just going to Plasma Fist Water Spout. This should do very good damage into the Yveltal. We are... What, we're like max attack? Yeah. Okay, that's huge. That's great. Damage in the Yveltal, and they Tailwind. So the Groudon's going to be faster. But at what cost? Because they max Quake, it's either going to take my 1 HP Zeraora, or it's going to knock Kyogre down very low. With that, we should still be able to outspeed... or not outspeed, we should still be able to KO the Yveltal with this Water Spout. Yikes. That's funny. Honestly, that's funny. They're not even AV. So yeah, so we just let both of them go down at this turn. Because that's going to be their last turn of Dynamax with Groudon. Both of my Pokemon in the back are physical attackers, so it's not the end of the world. Yikes, man, that's tough. That's real tough. Cool, so Electroweb here in case they switch out Yveltal. Actually, no, it's still Plasma Fist. I've been taking way too long in these turns. But it's Plasma Fist, Origin Pulse. You know, I could protect Kyogre, but I think it's better for me if both of my Pokemon go down this turn anyway. Crit Foul Play to do 18 HP, that's funny. Yeah, no, I think... Oh, they're Life Orb, so they knock themselves out. Groudon is going to be faster than Zeraora under Tailwind, that makes sense, because we're not max speed. But the Yveltal's gone. That's their best answer into Zarude. And the Groudon no longer has Dynamax. So we go to the last two. The Zacian could be scary. But they go Calyrex first. Okay. They go Calyrex first. So I can just set up a max Airstream with Zarude. How many more turns of Tailwind do they have? I think it's 2. Which is a little bit unfortunate. Because Zacian is going to have to take some hits. Or at least take 1 hit. But... Let's double check that. Yeah, it is 2 turns of Tailwind left. But we do have an Airstream into Calyrex here. Protect is super obvious, but we have to go for it because they can just click like Astral Barrage P-Blades, and that's probably enough to KO Zacian. And my Zarude is not going to be able to take on their Zacian 1v1. But if we get a speed boost, Zarude plus my own Zacian should have enough. So that's what we're playing toward at this point. It's going to take either a very clutch survival from Zacian on a Precipice Blades or P-Blades miss, I think, as we're going to protect. The other thing that's cool here, too, is that because they set up the Sun, our Zarude is actually immune to any status effects, so if they try to, like, burn it with Will-O-Wisp from Calyrex, they don't, clearly, but they do 0 damage, so it's not the end of the world. And Fire Punch, which is a bummer, but again, because of Leaf Guard, no statuses in the Sun. Calyrex likely focus Sash, so the Airstream breaks that. And we do set up now, the Zacian likely outspeeds the Groudon. So what we can do is, last turn of Tailwind, we max Darkness the Calyrex. I don't want to pick up a KO this turn. I max Knuckle the Groudon, and I substitute, and hope that Zacian is faster than Groudon. We're at +1. They do have Tailwind, but if they're pretty slow Groudon, our Zacian at +1 should outspeed. They protect Calyrex. So we are going to get the sub up. I don't think... I think you just make, you know, the Astral Barrage P-Blades play this turn. But we do get the max Knuckle off. That's going to do some good chip into Groudon. Should put that in range of pretty much any attack next turn. Behemoth Blade or max Overgrowth. They're going to P-Blades. It's going to break Zacian sub. Not going to do enough to Zarude. They no longer have Tailwind. Sunlight's gone. Doesn't matter. But now I pick up a double KO this turn. I pick up a double KO this turn with an Overgrowth into the Groudon and a Behemoth Blade into Calyrex. And then next turn, both of my Pokemon are faster. Zacian's at +2, Zarude's at +1, and assuming it is Zacian in the back, we should be able to pick up that KO too. With and we're going to be out of Dynamax, so we get the stronger close combat versus a Max Knuckle. Let's go! Yo, Zarude, I know I said it at the beginning of the video, but like Zarude's legitimately good. Zarude is legitimately like really good in this format. Because there's no chance Groudon's living that at +1 attack. Even at neutral, they would have to be like max HP and nearly max defense in order to live that hit. But we got both of our Pokemon at +1. We're gonna outspeed their Zacian. A lot of boosts. And that's the thing, is like, yes, it's acrobatics. Like, we have to run acrobatics as our flying move on Zarude, which is a bummer because it's so weak. But the max Airstream's 110 base power. It's, you know, respectable. And the speed boost is so important. The speed boost is so important because we get into situations like this where we set up the end game where our Zarude's at +1, Zacian's at +2, both of our Pokemon outspeed their Zacian, and we can just CC and Behemoth Blade, and that's the ball game. Behemoth Blade may just pick up the KO anyway, depending on how bulky they are. We are not very offensive, and by not very offensive, I mean we're still 76 attack Adamant, which is just a little bit less than if you're running max attack Jolly, but pick up that KO with just the Behemoth Blade, and there you go. Let's go. Zarude 2-0. Easy start to the video. You love to see it. And again, we'll wait to see if we can check their team, because I'm always interested in, like, you know, Zacian spreads and things like that. Unfortunate, but see you in the next one. Alright, last one of the day, and we finally run into something that could have Trick Room. Likely not, though. Seems to be a pretty fast-paced team, and they've got a Salazzle, which is very interesting, I will say. This is probably the least friendly team to Zarude that we've run into, which is a bummer. But I think, you know, first of all, gotta still bring it. But I think I can put in some work. I think Kyogre is really good here too. I just have to deal with the Palkia, which is kind of the biggest issue. They don't have Prankster Tailwind. They could have Tailwind on the Yveltal. We've seen that, I think, in both of the games today already. So Whimsicott as the lead is great. I mean, like, Zacian just puts in a lot of pressure early. I always will have Zarude as a switch-in for the Groudon, if they do go to that first. And then, of course, Kyogre in the back to just try to clean up in the end game under Tailwind. I think this is probably going to be a game where we max Kyogre. But we'll see. You know, Zarude has been just so good already that, you know, we might force our hand. We might have to max the Zarude here, depending on what they bring. Because I think, you know, if they lean into the Salazzle, if they lean into the Victini, even Marshadow, because it's, you know, got the fighting type moves, like, it's a little spooky, although it doesn't really use fighting moves too much, but they do go Salazzle. Shiny Salazzle's crazy. I found a, you know, random shiny Salazzle in Dynamax Adventure Den, and it's hard to look at, honestly. It's a little tough. We do see that our Zacian is going to be faster than their Yveltal, so no Scarf Tailwind this time. No Scarf Tailwind this time. The Salazzle is a little bit of an issue. I'm going to go out into Kyogre for Zacian. The question is, do I want to Tailwind? And I think maybe is the answer. You know, can't taunt into the Yveltal. I think, if anything, the Salazzle's going to go for an attacking move. Could be, like, their Dynamax attacker. Like, that's their pocket pick. And I respect that. So I'm going to try to get Tailwind up before Whimsicott either gets knocked out or eject buttoned out. And just go into Kyogre. Kyogre not super bulky, but sets up the range so that if they go for, like, Fire-type move with Salazzle, it doesn't scare us too much. And if they do max Salazzle here, I think I'm in a decent spot. Because if Whimsicott ends up staying in, I've got... If this is Groudon... Okay, it's Victini. Okay. I was like, man, if they called that switch and went into Groudon on their side, you know, it's not like the hardest play in the world to make, but you know, it's a good one. It's a real good play. Cool. Well, Kyogre's in now, and that's a crit overheat. Shows you how little that does. Yeah, so, you know, crit overheat does that much. I feel really comfortable just clicking Charm on the Victini. I want to leave Whimsicott in for now. You know, super saucy play. And actually, we're already 2-0 in the video. I think I'm going to do it. I'm going to charge the Victini. I'm going to predict the switch out into Groudon. Go Zarude. Hope that Victini eject buttons Whimsicott out so I can go back into Kyogre and set up the rain again. They do not do that. they do not make that play. So likely no Groudon, I guess. But they do have Thunder. So, you know, at least we got that right. I could have just clicked Water Spout and gotten a double KO. Poison Gas is a bummer. Because, well, I mean, it just poisons us. It's not the end of the world. And it's just regular poison, too. Like, it's going to add up, but I think Kyogre is definitely the Dynamax candidate here. But we have both of them, both of their Pokemon weakened. You know, the Victini's charmed, although it looks like they're a special attacker anyway. And the Salazzle is at -2 special attack. We are going to be faster, so I would imagine Victini's probably Sash, the way they kept it in that turn. Whimsicott, let's Moonblast and Darkest Lariat that slot. Victini could go out into the Yveltal, so Moonblast would be pretty nice into that one. The formerly buff is going to be Yveltal, so we do get the Moonblast off there. And they set up the Dark Aura for our Darkest Lariat. Which, again, pretty nice. It's not going to do the most in the world, because Yveltal just, you know, has a good natural bulk, but that's not nothing. You know, that's decent damage. That's good shit, you know? And the Moonblast looks like AV. Overheat, we're in the rain, and it's going to go into Whimsicott. It's going to go into Whimsicott, so we get our eject button, we can come back in later, set up another Tailwind, and I really don't think they have Groudon. So I want to go Kyogre here, but the problem is I'm going to run out of rain turns eventually. Like, I think I have rain for one more turn, if I'm counting right. So I can Water Spout this turn and then next turn. But the problem is that if they switch out into Groudon, the Water Spout's not going to KO the Yveltal. They can get a Snarl off on me, and I don't love that. So let's go Zacian here. We still do have the rain up. Threatens a KO on the Yveltal. And again, still have Kyogre. Still have the Whimsicott in the back that are going to threaten, you know, whatever they're packing in the back. If it is Groudon as the last, then Kyogre is super strong here. The way they're playing it, though, it could be Marshadow. You know, it could be like Scarf Marshadow, Spectral Thief trying to steal like a Zacian's attack boost, which could be cool. But I think this is just a pretty easy sub here. And I'm not worried about the Salazzle at all. They're at -4. No, I don't need a sub. I just want to pick up this KO. And we'll Darkest Lariat into Salazzle. And then, yeah, whatever wants to come in here, too, I'm going to get some good damage on. It is going to be Victini, break a potential Focus Sash, which is always nice. I did have... Oh, man, I wasn't counting my own Tailwind turns. Is this my last turn of Tailwind? If it is, that's a little bit unfortunate. Darkest Lair is going to come out into Salazzle. Probably doesn't KO without the Dark Aura boost. Yeah, just a little shy. But they also don't have the Dark Aura boost on their Foul Play. So it works both ways. Poison damage comes out. The Tailwind does Peter. Not ideal. And we do have one more turn of rain. So, protect Zacian and Lariat the Victini. one more turn of Rain plus AV on Zarude means I'm really not worried about any Fire-type attacks. The Zacian, of course, is the bigger threat anyway, so I think they'd want to deal with that. And if I can knock out the Victini, then Zacian is going to have a field day too. So, feel pretty good about my positioning here. Not quite the Dynamax Zarude showcase, but we're holding on to our Dynamax, they're holding on to their Dynamax. But, all the switching out, all the trades that we have made, I think have pretty heavily favored us in positioning here. Fire Blast does come out. Again, it's in the rain, so it wouldn't have KO'd. Poison Gas. That's a cool tech, because you do get to poison steel types with the corrosion ability. And we do see, of course, that the Salazzle is faster than Zacian. But Victini goes down, and we don't have the rain, but the Salazzle's still at -4 special attack, so I'm not too worried about the damage output there either. So even if they want to go for like another overheat into Zacian, I think we should be able to take that pretty well, and Zacian's going to outspeed everything on their team naturally. The question I would have is the Marshadow, actually, because if they are Choice Scarf, I also don't know Marshadow's base speed off the top of my head, and I feel like if it's like max speed Jolly, it could. They do have the Groudon in the back, which I've been waiting for. We've all been waiting to see this Groudon. But they finally bring it out. They do set up the Sun, so Salazzle's a little bit more threatening, but not terribly so. Salazzle might be able to KO Zarude from this point, or put us into range of poison. I don't need to switch out either of my Pokemon here. I am going to be faster than the Groudon. I like just a Behemoth Blade into the Salazzle and Power Whip into Groudon for some chip there. Zacian should be faster than Salazzle too. Again, if they're like max speed Jolly, they might outspeed me. But they shouldn't be able to KO Zacian from this range. And if they switch out to Yveltal, we're going to pick up this KO. Beautiful. They do reset those special attack drops, but I'm going to win the Weather War because they're going to be locked into these last two. And Power Whip is still going to do a decent bit to Groudon here. Again, that's the important part. That 105 base speed for Zarude, it's like deceptively really good because it allows you to run Adamant Zarude. Lets you put a little bit more into your bulk, so we take some special attacks really well. I mean, you've seen a couple of Kyogre Origin Pulses, the Thunder from Victini, like, we just shrugged things off. And even that Fire Punch from Groudon last game really didn't do that much. But, yep, pick up the Yveltal here, beautiful. Our Zarude, because they Dynamax, is going to be faster. Got a hit. Have not had the greatest luck hitting my attacks in the last couple of videos. But we do knock the Groudon down. That does like 40% in Dynamax. That's huge. Zacian goes down. That's fine. Because their last is going to be the Salazzle. We just go Whimsicott. We Tailwind and Darkest Lariat into Salazzle. Just guarantee a KO there. Or force them to protect. And then next turn, we've got Kyogre. And that's going to be that. So Whimsicott first, always just get the Tailwind up, just to make sure. We are going to see that shiny Salazzle just one more time. It stuck around for a while, but that's mostly because, they clicked Overheat immediately. And, I really had no reason to attack it. So yeah, I mean, barring something crazy here in the last couple of turns, we're going to see Zarude go 3-0 in this video. Now, when I say something crazy, who was going to tell me that Salazzle got Fake Out? Who was going to tell me that Salazzle got Fake Out? I didn't know that. Well, why would I know that? That's crazy. Max Quake's not even going to knock out Whimsicott. They surely had... they've got to have Rock Fall or Fire Punch. They're leftovers because there's no grassy terrain. So if they're like a bulk up, usually would have Precipice Blade, Stone Edge, maybe Rock Slide, but I think Stone Edge is better on bulk up sets. But yeah, I mean, this is just a free charm into the Groudon just to, you know, for nothing at this point. Might as well just go for damage. But charm never hurts. And a Darkest Lariat. Just in case, you know, by the time I get Kyogre in now, their Groudon's going to be out of Dynamax after this turn. We are going to be in the rain. We'll have our Dynamax Kyogre. So there's no chance for their Groudon to live a hit. But just in case, you know, they're running some insanely bulky Groudon, and at +3 special defense, they do end up living a hit, you know, we can take a hit back with our Kyogre. Although, you know, doesn't matter too much. The damage from Moonblast is just negligible. You know, it really means nothing. It just offsets leftovers, really. At this point, with all the special defense boosts, honestly, might not even offset leftovers. But, you know, we are going to see the classic endgame, though. Classic endgame of, you know, the Hoenn region, of VGC on the whole, you know, Groudon versus Kyogre, and as always, just whichever Pokemon comes in last is going to win. Kyogre comes in last, we are going to get our rain set up, and just to make sure, because they are at +3 special defense, like, there could be some crazy shenanigans going on where they're, like, insanely specially defensive, and, like, you know, they would somehow live a Water Spout when I'm at 85%-ish. So, you know, that would be, you know, Water Spout would still be stronger than Origin Pulse at that point, but, you know, it would be base, like, 130 power. It is single target in the rain. They're at +3 special defense. Like, you know, just in case for some reason they're able to live that hit, just go for the Dynamax. Make sure that we pick up this KO. And there you go. So 3-0 for Zarude. You can't ask for anything more. Again, like, it's just such a good Pokemon. And you saw it here, too. It doesn't even need Dynamax. It can just sit on the field, soak up a little bit of damage. Even poisoned. It stuck around for, you know, 5 or 6 turns. And just chipping things down, putting them into range. It's so good. Also, because I haven't played too much this month, as usual, at least on cartridge. You know, I've been playing a lot on Showdown and then the Little Root Lessons League, but not too many ranked battles. That was my first battle in Master Ball. The last win put me into Master Ball, and then that one was the first dub, so you get to see Zarude take home a little bit of hardware, too. So you love to see that. Don't get to look at their team, unfortunate, but, you know, you will get to look at this team one more time right now. And once again, here it is, the rent-a-code for the Zarude team. I had a ton of fun with this team. I've been testing it on Showdown. I'm like, you know, this team's kind of good. You know, like, there are so many tools that it can use. You know, we didn't even get to see Melmetal come out. Didn't run into a Trick Room team. But against Trick Room, you know, we got Taunt Whimsicott, we've got Subzation, and then Melmetal. They're just so good. Plus, you know, we can always cycle in Fake Outs with Zeraora with the Focus Sash. And Zarude can still live a hit from, you know, Palkia special attackers. But just so strong is Zarude in this format. You know, in a Dynamax format specifically, the coverage that it has, I think, makes it immediately one of the better mythicals. I think it's super underrated. You know, grass types just in general have had it pretty rough for a while, especially in Dynamax formats where Max Airstream is all over the place. But, you know, a grass type that can use the Max Airstream itself, set up its partners, I think is just super strong. And the grass dark typing works super well. You know, I had Celebi in one of my other teams here recently, and, you know, Celebi really suffers from its typing. The bulk is great, you know, base 100s across the board, but the typing's so bad. Psychic as a secondary type, you know, you're weak to dark, you're weak to ghosts. It's just not good for a defensive Pokemon, which is probably the best role that Celebi fits. But for Zarude, Grass Dark gives you so many useful resistances, and it really allows you to beat so many of the best restricted Pokemon. You know, I mentioned in the open, but your Groudons, Kyogres, Calyrex-Shadow Riders, even Yveltal can't do too much to it, and we've got Zacian and Zeraora to deal with that one. I think we ran into 3 Yveltals today and came out 3-0, so you know, you get to see the power of Zarude there, and the different options that this team has to play around different matchups. So, had a ton of fun with it. Hopefully, I'll make another video with this team, so hopefully get to feature the Melmetal at least once. But thank you again so much for watching through the end of the video. Of course, leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment, all that good stuff. Let me know what success you have with Zarude on the ladder, because how can you not with how good this Pokemon is? And that's gonna be everything from me here today. So again, thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.